What's happening, Steeler Nation? Very tricky pre-game show, if you will, because of the news that we have to talk about here. So you guys know I try to, get to these shows when I can. This is not one that's in heavy rotation, but I could not pass up the opportunity to do a preview of this week's game, given all of the things that are going on. So first and foremost, let me just say welcome to the channel. For you guys who are new, there's a phone number that you're seeing on this side here, a phone number. That phone number is for Terrible Towel Tuesday. That is the regularly scheduled program. I also do a post-game show. I do not take phone calls on that show, but it is live. You can catch that tomorrow following the game. But again, the phone number right there is for Terrible Towel Tuesday, each and every Tuesday, where I take phone calls and I open it up to hear the thoughts of you guys, Steeler Nation. Well, let's get into it, man. We got a lot to talk about in terms of what's happening in this game, in terms of guys who will and will not play. So let's get right to the injury report. Let me pull it up here. You guys are going to see me looking to my right because I am reading. First, let's just talk about, how Friday's practice ended up. So we do know that DeMonte Casey was a full participant. Levi Wallace was a full participant. Chris Kuntz, which is the long snapper, full. Larry Ogunjobi dealing with the knee issue, but he was a full participant. Kevin Dotson was limited. William Jackson III did not practice. Akello Witherspoon did not practice. Miles Jack, full participant. I was scared about that one because Miles Jack did show up earlier in the week, and on Thursday he did not practice, but full participant on Friday, so that's good news. Malik Reed was limited, and Cameron Haywood did not practice, but earlier in the week, rest. It's veteran rest, but he was full on yesterday. So now let's get to, before I get to our guys, let's get into the New Orleans Saints. So let's go to game status as far as New Orleans Saints. DeMarcus Davenport is questionable. That's huge for them. Marcus Davenport. I said DeMarcus because it says D.E. Marcus, defensive end. But Marcus Davenport is questionable with a calf. Mark Ingram is out due to a knee. Marshawn Lattimore is out with an abdomen injury. Center Eric McCoy is out with a calf. Pete Warner, their leading tackler on defense, linebacker, he is out. Safety Marcus May also has an abdomen injury. He's questionable. Tano, I know I'm not pronouncing this dude's name right. I think it's Tano. Last name is spelled Kpassagnon. He's a defensive end. He's questionable. And PJ Williams was also questionable with an illness. And that's what they have as far as game status. So we do know that Andres Pete as well. He's a guard, so they have a lot of trouble on the offensive line. So that may be something that the Steelers can exploit. Eric McCoy and Andres Pete, two of their, starting interior offensive linemen will be out, and Pete Warner being out is going to be a big one for them as well as Marshawn Lattimore. Now let's talk about the Steelers. Boy, a whole lot of interesting stuff happened here. Kevin Dotson is questionable. We'll see what happens there. It says Malik Reed is questionable as well with the excused absence, and it says personal reasons. But here's two big ones. And there's a super big one that I'm going to get to here in a moment. But I'm giving you this information in the order that I received it. Akello Witherspoon still out with the hamstring. And William Jackson III out as well. Now, this one bothers me a little bit because now let's get to some more important news. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. Let me get to it. I should have had it open in an additional tab, but boy, there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. Hold on. Give me a second. Here it is. And I'm going to give this to you in the order that it was listed. Matthew Wright, kicker, was signed to the 53-man roster. And I knew when he was signed to the 53-man roster, it was going to be interesting. You know why he was signed to the 53-man roster? Kicker Chris Boswell is on injury reserve. Boswell is on IR, which means he's going to miss, I think, at least 4 games. That could be critical with the Steelers offense that hasn't produced a lot of points. Also, elevation. There was an elevation. Elijah Riley was elevated from the practice squad on to the 53-man roster, I believe. It says elevated safety Elijah Riley from practice squad to the active inactive roster. Says he will automatically return to the practice squad following the game. Okay, so I didn't think much of that one until a little bit later. TJ Watt, hooray, hooray. TJ Watt is coming back. Hopefully TJ Watt can be somewhat of himself to help the Steelers with a pass rush. You're feeling good about yourself. But then as soon as you feel good about that, guess who else is not going to play? Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah Fitzpatrick is not going to play. Apparently it's reported. Let me see if I can get the full report here. Hold on. Well, I don't need to give you the full report. I actually have it right up on my phone, and I will read it to you as such. It says, and I quote, Minkah Fitzpatrick is expected to miss Sunday's game versus the Saints due to appendicitis. No, how do you say that? Yeah, I guess that is how you say it. Appendicitis? Yeah, appendicitis. Y'all know what that is. And Minkah Fitzpatrick will not be playing in the game. So we get TJ Watt and lose Minkah. And this crept up, I guess, on today. No, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't see him on the injury report, so I don't know how it happened. But no Minkah Fitzpatrick. So the back end is going to be a little susceptible. I guess you would say good that TJ Watt returns, right? But it gets even crazier. Because guess who else went to IR I saw today? Cornerback William Jackson III. Now I have to question the Steelers trading for William Jackson. I knew he was coming off of a back injury, but I assumed when they traded for him, they did some digging and they knew what his status was. Now, maybe they did. Let's just say maybe they knew exactly what they were getting. Okay. But then I question, why do you trade for him at this point? If he's not going to necessarily help you this season. You're 2-6, right? You're hoping to try to go on a mini run, which you would think would include guys that you think can help you. We needed other guys at cornerback. You bring him in, assuming because you're thinking he can help you, but now he's on IR. Now, you didn't really give up much for him. I know the salary compensation, it works in the Steelers' favor and all of that, but still, I have to question, what was the reason for trading for him if you knew this? Or even if you didn't know it, boy, did it backfire. And still no Ahkello Witherspoon, once again. But we saw Ahkello the last time we saw him against the Eagles, A.J. Brown was having his way with him. So the Steelers are definitely struggling and suffering in the secondary that now is void Minkah Fitzpatrick. So how did the Steelers win this game? I'm going to be very brief with this. Listen, the Saints have not played great football. The Saints have a pretty decent defense, if you want to say, against the run. They have some young guys in the secondary that I think you could take advantage of. I think the Steelers, if they do anything right, or if they can do anything that we've asked them to do this whole season, this would be the game to do it. Which means, can you get a run game? Can you establish a run game against the Saints? If you can run the football, I think it opens it up for deep shots down the field, play action down the field, guys like George Pickens, guys like Deontay Johnson, let them take advantage of that young secondary. But I don't even think that it works if you don't run the football. Can we do some things that are a little bit outside of the norm? Matt Canada, can we not stick to the ordinary script? We've been on a bye week. You've had time to fix some things. So A, run the football. B, throw some different looks at them. Try to confuse them a little bit. And here's another one. Can we get a pass rush going? These guys are beat up on the offensive line. You saw that game against the Ravens, and I'm not comparing apples to apples in terms of team to team. You can never do that. But again, what the Ravens showed us is that that offensive line is weak. And now they have injuries at that spot. And you had Andy Dalton, who was kind of back there with the happy feet. Can we get him off of his spot? So to me, that's the keys to victory. The Saints do not scare me whatsoever in terms of the ball that they've been playing here lately. Of course, you got to watch guys like Alvin Kamara out the backfield. Other than that, no one scares me. Shout outs to Chris Olave. The boy has been playing really good football. So, you let one receiver or so get theirs, but, keep a lid on it. This is a very winnable game, in my opinion. Now, it's hard for me to say that because the Steelers are 2-6. Very hard for me to say this is a winnable game when, to date, we're 2-6. Were we in a lot of those games we lost? Sure. Could we have won a lot of those games? I think we could have. But the record is the record. So I can't sit here as a Steeler fan and act like, oh, yeah, we're going to win this one. I think we have a chance. But this is the game to get yourself right. Second half of the season, coming off of a bye, the schedule gets a little lighter. This is the time to just show us that you can become better. Okay, still, I don't have expectations for my Steelers. I still don't expect much out of this season, but I do expect to see them to win more games than they lose in this second half. That's what I'm going to say. I expect to see that. Because again, coming off of a bye, you should have fixed some things. And the schedule is lighter. Of course, we still got to play some AFC North opponents, but for the most part, you got the NFC South teams, a couple of these teams in a row. Well, not in a row, but you know what I'm saying. Come on. Colts is in there. Come on. A lot of these games are winnable. But this is the game to show us that it's possible. I cannot give the Steelers the excuse of, oh, they're missing some guys. Well, so are the Saints. But even with everything on the table and all of the players that are out, I still think and I still expect the Steelers to get themselves a win at home. Can the return of TJ Watt just pump the team up? I'm not going to say that he's the end-all be-all. He's probably not 100% in terms of performance. He hasn't played in a while. But can he give you a little bit of the spark? Mentally, can he give you a boost along with the home crowd? But like I said, man, I want to see the Steelers be able to run the football. I want to see the Steelers force the Saints to beat them in the air. So bottle up their run, make them have to pass the ball. You're going to see some trickery, I'm sure, with Taysom Hill and things like that. But I feel comfortable against this Saints team if we force them to throw the football. Steelers still have talented guys on defense that should be able to play relatively well. I'm looking forward to seeing how James Pierre plays. But again, I still have the question to the Steelers, what were you guys doing in terms of William Jackson III? I thought this guy was going to come in and be able to play, if not this week, next week. And now he's on IR. What is going on? But again, another thing to keep an eye on is Matthew Wright. No Chris Boswell. So none of these are money field goals. You know what I mean? And yeah, Wright did decent in Kansas City, momentarily. So I'm sure that's why the Steelers signed him as well as they're familiar with him. But again, I don't have the same confidence in him as I would have in Chris Boswell. And this could come down to a field goal game. So this is going to be interesting. But like I said, man, those are my preview. It's not a prediction or anything like that. Do I think the Steelers should win this game? I do. Just because of circumstance. You're at home. You're coming off of a bye. You're facing a team that hasn't been playing well. A team that just played on Monday and got beat up by the Ravens. A team that is beat up offensively on the offensive line primarily. A team that doesn't have their top tier weapons on offense or defense. They're down their best cornerback. One of their safety, the safety might not play. You got guys like, who else did I say? Let me pull it up. Oh, just the offensive line. Andrus Peat And their center, I forget his name now. Let me pull it up. What's the kid's name, man? I just had it. What's his name? His name is Eric McCoy. So the Steelers, man, listen, like I said, if any game they're gonna get themselves right, this is the one. And that's just all I got. That's all I got, man. But this is such an up and down season with the Steelers and the lineup. You know, just think about most of the season, the amount of games that we didn't have the full complement of the starting 3 cornerbacks. You know, when you talk about sub package, and the games where we didn't have TJ Watt, and now no Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, this has just been the season. But again, it's not an excuse. Other teams are dealing with injuries as well, so I'm not giving them that excuse. Next man up, okay, let's see it. And that is to every single person on that field and on that coaching staff is who I'm looking at. If y'all don't win this game, then yeah. Yeah. But all right, man, that's all I got. So again, before I go, I'm going to always remind you guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. Catch you in the next one. Peace.